2 Chronicles 18:12 and 13 says, Then the messenger who went up to summon Micaiah spoke to him, saying, Behold, the words of the prophet are uniformly favorable to the king, so please let your word be one of like them, and speak favorably. But Micaiah said, As the Lord lives, what my God says, that I will speak. Well, if you're joining us in reading through this 90-day reading plan, today's reading is 2 Chronicles 18:12 through 34, and I encourage you to read that passage. Jehoshaphat decided that he needed to ally himself with Ahab, the king of Israel. This was a bad idea, and it really was a great object lesson for Jehoshaphat. You are not to ally yourself with those who do not believe what you believe. We are not to become tied with someone who can lead us from God. Now, it's very difficult in today's world to follow that advice. If we work, go to school, play with people, or associate with people in any way, we're going to find out that we're associating with people who do not believe necessarily what we believe. So how are we to respond to that? How are we to use our relationship with non-believers so that we might increase our wealth and standing in the world? Well, Jehoshaphat had done that very thing. He'd married Ahab's daughter, and this was a strictly political move. He was ensuring that Ahab would not attack Judah, since his daughter was married to Judah's king. Makes perfect political sense. But it also set Jehoshaphat to be placed in a very compromising position. If we place ourselves religiously with a person who does not believe what we believe, the only thing they can do is cheapen our belief. If your ally or close associate, if you do that with a non-believer, at some point your values are going to clash. It's extremely difficult in today's world not to be involved in businesses with a non-believer. If you work at a company, you're going to run across people who do not share the same belief in Christ that you have. And yet you cannot just pass them off. You cannot just ignore them. You must in some way work with them. And you're working with them, you must prayerfully consider everything that you're doing and be willing to back out of a situation if you run across that kind of situation that will affect your faith in Christ. Or if that faith in Christ will be marginalized or suffer harm. It does you no good to compromise your values. You will not win anybody to Christ by doing that, and you will have created a sin problem for yourself. This is not to say that you should remove yourself completely from the secular world. What it is to say is you should not place yourself in a situation where you are called upon to change how you feel about Christ. We are in a strong position. It is we who should lead people to Christ, not the opposite.